So I will call the meeting to order, and for the benefit of the person who is trying to do the minutes based on the video, she has asked if we could do a roll call and just go through and say your name so she knows who's here.
Okay, want me to start?
Yep, yes, please.
Mike Speltz, present.
Bob Maxwell, present.
Susan Mallowan, present.
Gene Harrington, present.
Marge Bedoy.
Deb Levens, present.
Leo Lee, present.
David Heafy, present.
Elle Bigford, present.
Okay, thank you. I don't know why we had to say present, but Mike started it.
Well, yeah, Mike started
You're
it.
up, you're our guest for today. We're full house today, which is amazing.
It's rare.
Good evening.
Hi there. Peter Stoddard from S&H Land Services.
And Kevin Landry, the owner of the property.
We were heard by this board a couple months ago, was it?
Yeah.
And I was out of town, so I was not able to attend. But the plan that was shown at that meeting had a house box. He's proposing to build a duplex on this site, and with no real associated grading. It was more concentrated on the driveway design and how it went through the wetland and how that affected the wetland buffer. So I'm the septic designer. I'm doing the septic design on this, and that's what you have on the screen here. And basically, I've got the house as designed in, I've got the driveway in, I've got the septic system in. So we're trying to make all of that fit, and there is some areas that we need some relief on for the 50-foot wetland buffer. The driveway, there's really no other option. I mean, the driveway has to go there, so it's not possible to put that driveway somewhere where it doesn't go through the wetland buffer. One of the things, we had our design review meeting with the town and reviewed by the Stantec engineer, and there was a ton of stuff that they were looking for and asking for. One was a stormwater report that we just got. The other was, kind of surprised us, was the fire department. It's not in the zoning regs, but apparently it's in their regs, is they require a 20-foot wide, non-obstructed access to be within, I think, 50 feet of the house or something like that. So the driveway width can still be 12 feet like it says in the regulations, but they want 20 feet wide where they have no obstructions. I guess it's a safety thing for their fire equipment and stuff like that. So we've went back to the engineer to design the driveway again. It has some additional impacts to the wetland from what we had shown last time. I think it ends up being about a 1,400 square foot impact of the actual wetlands that are going to be impacted and have to be filled for that area that's basically where the culvert's being replaced.
Can you say where that is?
Yeah, it's where the culvert is. See the culvert near the road? And basically that hatching that you see is the area of impact for the wetland.
We got something to help.
Hold down the top button, I believe, you can point, maybe.
Well, right there. So either side of this is the area that, I mean, we showed it, we have a wetland permit that we already got from the state. I think we had that last time we were here.
Again, this driveway,
Yeah.
just to refresh everybody's memory, is existing. It's been existing since 1953. The
There was a
culvert's-
culvert there.
The culvert is there now, working, but we have to upgrade it for the current, water and regulations.
So that was sized per the engineer, per the stormwater report. The wetland permit will have to be amended through the state because of the increased impact. It's still a very minor impact, and it's still, I believe, can be done under a permit by notification. Yes.
I don't understand where the 20 feet is and what this has to do with the additional impact, because it looks like it's just,
Well, if you look
on
at the
scale.
driveway, so the main route of the driveway that you see is a 12-foot width. And on either side of it, you can see the hatching that looks like little stones. That is a 4-foot shoulder, basically. And in the 12 feet plus the 8 feet gives the fire department their 20-foot wide non-obstructed path. And then off of that, we have sloping, you know, that's required for the grade to come into the natural grade, and that's what causes the additional impact to the wetland.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just was looking at it. I was
So-
looking for it up here somewhere, so, thank you.
So we, page 2, the septic design I have on page 1 of your handouts. Page 2 shows the engineer's stormwater treatment design for this. So based off the 100-page stormwater report or study analysis, there's a 4-foot wide, I believe like 2.5-foot deep stone trench around the exterior of the building up there. Again, you can see it in the hatching. Whoa, sorry about that. Yeah, cool. In the hatching around this. And basically that's going to collect any of the roof runoff. And then along the driveway going down, you can see that 4 foot of stone there. It's basically a 4-foot stone trench, 1 foot to 18 inches deep, and it's going to have a pipe going through it. It's basically kind of like a road under drain. So that's going to collect any of the surface water off of the road and treat it so that it goes into the soil and it's just not runoff that goes into the well. Can you go back to the first page? I also did include the CUP permit and a narrative on the last page. But basically, the narrative says that the existing house that's under construction on the other lot, remember this is a 2-lot subdivision, so it's an 8-acre lot that we're subdividing into 2 separate lots. The existing house that was torn down and replaced in the same footprint has had the driveway pavement completely redone, and it's actually a lesser impact than what was existing. So there's less, it's not a ton less, but there is a reduction in impervious surfaces on the existing lot. So when we were at our design review meeting, they pretty much said, well, if it's a reduction of what was existing, then we wouldn't expect you to have a conditional use permit there. So the focus tonight is on the proposed duplex on the lot that's being subdivided off. It's a vacant piece right now.
So we're looking at the conditional use permit?
That's the conditional use permit. Has not been submitted yet to the planning board. We're still,
Okay.
you know, after this meeting, that'll give us more direction to continue to address the comments that we had. We'll probably have one more design review meeting before going to the planning board. So we're here specifically tonight to ask for some relief. One is for the driveway that goes through the access way that goes through the buffer, and there's just nothing, there's no other alternative. I mean, it has to go through the buffer. There's no other access. The second one is we're asking for a reduction in the 50-foot wetland buffer to 25 feet of a non-disturbance, and then the 25-foot furthest region of that 50-foot buffer, we're asking to be allowed to do associated house grading and lawn planting in there. No structures, no part of the parking area or the proposed building or the septic system or any kind of structure would be within that. It's just grading that's associated with the house. And basically that would be loamed and seeded, and it would act as a transitional area from the house to the 25-foot non-disturbed buffer. Now I have it in here, I have that red hatched area, that's 25 feet off of the wetland.
Oh.
Yeah, that's,
Do you see that?
Where is the real buffer line?
Long black dash.
Well, the real buffer line, it's hard to see on that, but Kevin, if you can show him,
So
it's basically the
color
yellow,
code
yeah.
it. The yellow is the 50-foot that ultimately wraps, and we're looking to extend that for proper sloping and ultimately to be able to seed lawn and grade it properly so that there's not just a drop-off running into any type of wetlands, which would require the green. So we're looking to, yellow is the 50, the green line is the 25,
Pink line's the actual
There's
wet.
pink on this.
Pink is the actual
is
wetland.
the wetlands.
That's the actual wetland, yeah.
Oh, the pink is the actual wetland.
Yeah.
So you don't really have the buffer line on here.
Yeah, it is on there, so, let me see if I can.
yeah, this is the wetland, this is the buffer.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
like
then
the
the
pink.
re-
If you could
the
follow, I don't know if you can follow the little
50 foot should
pan
be on-
right
in here
there,
somewhere.
that line there, and you can see where
Yeah, this is
it's labeled.
25 feet.
Goes
Long
right-
dashes, Deb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Long
yeah, yeah,
dashes.
yeah. Oh,
Right around like,
Yeah,
but
it's
that's
tiny.
okay.
like that.
Yep.
Under what auspices are they asking for this forgiveness?
Yeah, this,
It's like, I don't know about this process.
they're, got a CUP, because they're asking for impacts into the buffer, but turf isn't typically something that we make exceptions for.
Turf is not allowed in the
No,
buffer.
We can't make an exception. for
Right.
sure.
So,
You can grade in it,
We
but
wanna
you
gr-
can't create a lawn in it.
So we want to grade it, but somehow we have to stabilize the slope from the house down.
So you stabilize it without using turf grass.
What would you use typically?
there's
There
a
are
conservation blend, it's called. It basically,
Oh, no, so we could do, we could do any of the conservation, but some type of seed or otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just
oh,
gonna
yeah,
grow.
just
Yeah.
not something you're gonna
No,
mow
so
and
turf, so I
fertilize.
apologize, so maybe not using the right word.
But,
But seeding, vegetation control.
yeah,
So that there's not erosion eroding into any of the wetlands is what we're looking to do. So
Right.
anything that we grade, we want to stabilize so that it is stabilized and not eroding every time it rains or,
well, yes, that's,
but sorry,
Common
turf, so
sense.
turf is the wrong,
yeah,
Terminology.
and,
Yeah, we don't wanna see the turf fertilizers, we don't wanna see the weed killers, the pesticides that go with turf maintenance. No,
and we typically ask for the signs that indicate the buffer
we're
We can-
planning on
yeah.
purchasing
Well
those and
hidden,
lining
still
the
very well
property.
hidden.
at the 25 or at the 50?
Well,
I'd-
50 would,
I'd like to do it at the 50, just to say that this is a non-disturb.
Yeah, we'd like to see it at the 50 too, because people living there, they see green, they're gonna mow it.
Yeah.
And fertilize it and run their dog on it.
Can you talk through the snow removal a little bit?
it'd be a hypothetical conversation, David, is I don't want to lie to you, because I can't tell you that we're personally going to plow it, right? So I could sit here and tell you how I would plow it,
Yeah.
but I can't speak for a homeowner that, you know, I mean, ultimately, my son is looking to purchase one of these units. He would do it exactly like I raised him. I've plowed 99 Rockingham Road since I've been 16 years old. I've walked all this land since I was 5. I grew up here. I don't know if you know that, but I've played on all this property since I was 5 years old. But I wouldn't want to properly speak for one of the homeowners on how they're gonna plow it, sir. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of, you know, people put down salt, they do various other things, and if any of it's gonna end up in the wetlands or something like that. Just trying to get a feel
You know,
for
it's
it.
funny, we just sold a property in Derry that we did a duplex for on the golf course. Every time I drove by, they never even plowed it. They just keep driving over the snow. You know, so,
I mean, I think there is room for snow storage
there is plenty of
here,
room, especially with
in those
the,
turnarounds.
John recommended the 20 feet for the fire trucks.
Yeah, right, so there's plenty of room for snow.
Gotcha.
You're talking 4 feet of shoulder with the rock, that's gonna catch any type of, I'll tell you, 99 was the worst nightmare driveway to plow ever. And the first thing I did was shrink the circle, because the circle was about 5 feet off the actual,
Yeah,
I think you've been there, Deb, on the right side of the driveway. The driveway was right off the pond, right off the river. We're now about 35, 40 feet away from the river. And we eliminated that circle because it was such a problem to plow. And the bridge that went over was just a nightmare. I actually fixed that because I was the one that experienced it for more years than I want to admit.
all right, thanks. Appreciate it.
I think probably the wetlands scientist, Tom Sokolowski, when he was here last time, must have spoken about the values of the wetlands and the functions and such. But it's not, it's a wetland that's mostly created by drainage that's coming off of the highway that's behind it. It's marginal in a lot of areas. In the summertime, dries up pretty good, right?
Yeah, in the summertime, it was, all last summer was completely dry. It got a little bit wetter after those couple heavy rains. Now it's all dry again.
I think probably this area had gotten wetter since they built.
Since they built the highway, it's
highway.
pushed a lot more water this way. And one of the state culverts actually dumps, and it's used as a channel to go, this would hypothetically be 103 Rockingham Road, that goes through under that culvert by the road and goes all behind 99 Rockingham down back over 28.
I guess my point is, it's not a prime wetland, it's more of a, kind of a drainage area, because the topography there is pretty flat.
So could you, if I understood correctly, that the shoulder that the fire department is requiring, 4 feet on each side, is gonna be made of what kind of material? Like it's gravel?
Yes, it would crush stone, basically.
And then-
It's got to be able to support fire truck and stuff like that.
So, and then underneath that gravel is gonna be like a drain tile or a?
Underneath,
Perforated
in the
pipe?
snow, perforated pipe, it acts as kind of an under drain, similar to what they do in roadway construction in wetter areas.
So you're not conveying any water?
No, the purpose would be to collect the water and it just absorbs into the ground instead of running off into the wetland.
And we're doing that, that's also around the entire house.
Yeah.
To capture the water and let it filter out through the perforated pipe and the sock, more than dump out of a gutter and create an erosion, or run off a driveway.
So
And it-
there are no swales, there are no detention.
No,
No, sir.
I wanna make sure I understand, the ordinance provides for 2 ways of approaching this. One is, which I think is what you're doing, asking for a conditional use permit to do certain things in the buffer.
correct.
Mainly your grading and your drainage structures. There is another provision that allows you to actually move the buffer to 25 feet. And I think that was what you were talking about when you talked about,
That is kind of my intent.
right. But I don't see that as, I don't think you need to do that. I think you can just go with what you've got right here, which is,
Yeah.
you're gonna build in the buffer. And you're gonna put some conservation mix on the first 25 feet. Am I summarizing that correctly, or am I missing something?
The outer 25 feet.
Right.
Right,
The farthest from the.
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, we don't have the actual request, but I don't know if there's a reference.
Yeah, I think actually in the narrative I put that we were looking for an actual reduction in there, and maybe that isn't the right way to go about it, because we're not proposing any structure, any part of the structures to be within it. We're just proposing that the associated grading that comes off of the house, if you look at that, you can kind of see where it's right here, there's a little bit, that's where the slope is there. Everything by the septic system is inside of that 50-foot buffer. And then when you get over to this corner, you have this area here that protrudes out into that first 25-foot zone. And again, we're not proposing any of the structures out there. It would be just associated grading, and then we would certainly plant whatever is necessary for erosion control that the board would like to see.
And if I remember right, the last time you were here, we discussed the fact that we wanted the entire driveway to meet the profile that you showed us last time.
Correct. Correct. And John specifically said that he's gonna inspect it, and that's completely fine, because we want it.
Yeah.
You know, that. the
Yeah,
driveway
it's
that's
gotta
there
be
has
built
been
to
there
the
since
standard,
53,
town
and it's
standards.
in amazing shape, so we don't wanna wreck that integrity at all, and we
I-
do also have that state permit, and that'll require that same grade spec.
Yeah, we do have our two DOT driveway permits in hand. I think there was some discussion in the last meeting I heard about the well location, and I think it's because I had stuck a well like over here because there was a 4K area and everything. So we have this well actually would be more to what would be designed where the septic system is. I will say that Kevin is actively working with the water department to likely bring in town water if the numbers work, correct?
We need to be able to subdivide, because they're trying to charge me for 780 feet of frontage at $43 a foot. So,
This project may end up, I'm probably gonna show a future water line or potential water line, because this project may end up having town water, which I think it's a benefit to the site, just because of the issues that wells can have now. You read about a lot of stuff now.
Yeah, and I think we talked about bringing the line in along the driveway.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Correct.
And then one other thing I added to this plan was a proposed utility pole right there, and then underground, that's how the underground electric would get to the building, something like that. So I guess public service gives you a certain allotment for off of the road to the first pole, then you typically go underground, so that's what we're showing here.
What will be, what the two ends of each unit that are facing, I guess, east and west, the narrow ends, right there, and then the same on the other side. Has that structure been planned yet? I mean, is there?
This is based off an actual set of drawings. So you can see where so there's a garage under here. It's pretty much the reason that we have the grading coming off is because the site is so flat that you can't put a foundation in, 8 feet in the ground. It's starting almost at ground level, so it's gonna be a garage under situation. You can kind of see, like, picture a garage under here, so you'd be driving into your garage, and then over that is is it
Living
two-story?
space.
Yeah, living space. And that's just the way the site dictates it, because it's such a flat site. You need to get a foundation drain out and such.
What I'm trying to get at is, are there gonna be, there's no doors, certainly on those ends, the two ends that we just talked about, or is there?
Correct, no doors.
Yeah,
there.
if you see, it's kind of hard to see it because I have the hatching in it, but there's a deck there, the deck there, the bulkhead here, and the bulkhead here, and they're all within the 50-foot you know, they're not closer than 50 feet to
So
the
you might
wetland.
have windows on those ends. What I'm trying to do is figure out the impetus to say, oh, this looks like heck having this milkweed outside the window. I'm gonna plow it under and plant grass. Is that,
I think the majority of the backyard area is gonna be like back here.
yeah, that's fine. I'm just looking at that, at the ends, that's where the 50-foot
Close.
buffer comes right up against the house.
Yeah.
Right? Am I looking at that right?
Correct, yes.
So,
So if you look at, if I was looking at that as mowing, right, that is the slopiest, the sides would be the slopes. So ultimately, like, a kid's not gonna play ball out there because the ball's just gonna roll down the hill. They're gonna go out into the backyard or to the front yard. I would look at that as a perfect, almost like a rough. You look at it, you know, a couple strips around the house that are mowed, and then you got your golf course rough that actually could be very attractive.
that's our concern, is that the rough stay rough, right? No turf, no chemicals.
Well, in nothing, but when I had my pesticide license, you can't even fertilize legally with that license within so many feet of wetlands.
Right.
So they're not gonna hire True Green, and True Green's not gonna jeopardize their license to, you know,
Plus, if the buffer signs are there, that'll
Yeah.
jog their memory, hopefully.
We did go back a little bit in the history of this land. His grandfather had bought, there was actually 2 lots. So it's interesting because when did your grandfather buy? Was it like in the 80s or 70s? 80s. And there was his lot where he built his house, and then there was another lot beside it which he bought, and that's basically where this house is going. And then he merged the 2 lots, so it became the 8 point whatever acres. And we're re-subdividing. It's not exactly like they were cut up at first, but it's pretty close.
within 5 or
So
10%.
it's interesting because if he didn't merge the lots, we'd be talking about, you know, a lot of record that was created in the 70s, I think.
53,
Yeah, that's right, 53. yeah.
1953. And, you know, in all fairness, like, there's a lot of mountain laurel and roadies that my grandfather planted
Nice.
that have naturally spread, because there's no water, on the wetlands, on the 2 smaller sides, they're gorgeous. So,
Don't
when
mess
those
up a good
bloom,
thing.
it's breathtaking. And those, there's no way I'm letting anything happen to them. So when you look at those areas, yeah, they're poorly drained soil, there's been no trees taken down, a lot of trees have fallen from rot, lack of sun. But all the way around that pink zone, I'm gonna call it, the amount of rhododendrons, and some of them are 20, 30 feet tall. They're absolutely gorgeous, and mountain laurel as well. So when you look at those areas, they're pretty naturally gorgeous.
So would you recommend, would you be receptive to our recommendation to the planning board that you put a designated snow storage area somewhere outside of the 50-foot buffer on the plan? And it doesn't necessarily mean that the owners are gonna abide by it as you.
No, I don't think that's an issue at all, because the way we did the driveway, if you plow the 2 parking spots, we're good there. If I had to guess, 90% of lazy plowers are gonna pull in the driveway and wanna push off to the right or to the left, or if they have a plow, they're gonna drive out their driveway and probably push it towards 28, but
There does
no,
seem,
that
there does seem to be
recommendation is extremely fair.
there does seem to be enough pavement outside of the buffer where I think that snow storage could go. Residential is a lot different than commercial. I think you're gonna have snow banks and not just one great big pile of snow somewhere.
All right, so comments so far is to have buffer signs at the 50-foot mark. Are we allowing grading up to the 25-foot buffer mark? With conservation seed in the outer 25 feet of the buffer. Designate a snow storage area outside of the 50-foot buffer. All good?
All good.
Work for you?
That works for us. Yes,
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right.
So the only drainage is the culvert near the road, is that correct? From one side of the driveway to the other is the culvert?
Correct, and that's from a crossing from Route 28. There's actually like a 4-foot
Yeah.
culvert a little bit further up.
Okay.
So during that 1-inch rain,
Drains to the south, but it's a very slow velocity because it's so flat
It's a
there.
4-foot culvert.
I will say, so I'm going to be amending the wetland permit, and I'm not sure if that requires the signature from the Conservation Commission again, because you guys signed off on it the first time. But I don't know if that's something we could address here. I just don't want to have another meeting for that. Basically, there's no other alternative because of the request by the fire department, and that has to do with life safety, so.
We could certainly, if it comes to that, just authorize the chair to approve an amendment to the state permit.
Because you said it was going to be probably a permit by notification?
Well, it is a permit by
Okay.
notification, so I'm
I think that
I'm going to
just-
be contacting the reviewer shortly and telling him the whole situation. And in those cases, they typically amend the original approval.
Makes sense.
Very good?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Want to do a vote to authorize me to sign that if that were to come?
I'll move that as long as the amended plan comes out the way this one shows, the chair is authorized to sign it.
Okay,
Deb Levin, second.
okay. Motion by Jean, second by Deb. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes unanimously.
Great. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks.
Do
tonight.
you want
Appreciate
these back in case you
it.
need them and you use? I just as soon it either get used or
Recycle.
recycled.
Thank you.
Before we leave this, point of information. This is the first I've heard this from the fire, about the things with the fire department.
Needing 20 feet of unobstructed.
Yeah, and it's certainly not
Maybe it just hasn't come up, because I can,
yeah.
it makes sense, because if you have, say, a 12-foot driveway, but trees are right here,
Yeah, you
right
can't-
next to it, the fire truck's not going to be able to
Yeah.
maneuver.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I don't know why
it makes
it's
sense.
never come up.
Yeah, I don't know why it's never come up before. Certainly it's not in the, over
DRC.
55
Oh,
well,
Well,
per se.
yeah, but they're pretty much flattened, and then the roads are
Yeah,
nothing
Yeah.
next to them.
yeah. I don't know, I was just kind of
Yeah.
surprised.
We learned something new today. So we have public comment. If anybody would like to speak.
You don't have to, Ray.
But this is Ray, of course he does.
Ray Bresson, 3 Gary Drive. Thank you for what you do. But I just have a question, and maybe someone could answer. Is there anyone on conservation that is on master plan? You are. Okay. All right. So I think it's so important that conservation does have input in that regard, and also that we have public participation. They are public meetings. How often does anyone from the public show up?
There's typically the same 3 people every time.
Oh,
And it was actually a topic of conversation at the last master plan that, are we going to be seen as meeting in public if no public comes? But we have no way of knowing who's watching it on video or, on.
yeah.
So,
I almost feel as though there should be more of an effort to
we're going
include
to
the
try
general
and have
public.
an event,
You know,
which is a little,
As we recall, back in 2012, 13, what were those things called?
Charrettes.
Sure, yeah,
Or, no,
Planapalooza.
Planapalooza.
okay.
But if
I
you
think we
watch,
had charrettes too, I've been involved in
Yeah.
a lot of these.
Yeah,
if you watch the video from the last week's master plan, you'll see that we did talk about it towards the end
yeah, yeah,
of, you know, how important we think that is.
yeah, yeah. That's about it. Thank you.
Okay, good job. Um, So I do have some new old business. Got a call this morning from the company doing the boat launch, and they are looking to do an install on April 21st. And they'll be there about between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning. So I need to get a letter out pretty quick to the abutters.
Yeah, oh, also to DES.
Oh, we have to notify them in advance?
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought we had to send pictures of what we did. So,
That
okay,
too.
Probably that too.
all right.
You said April 21st?
April 21st, and I also have that, we have to post a copy of the permit somehow. So I was gonna maybe shrink it down and laminate it and see if we couldn't just attach it somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a forestry permit, you know, you don't have to do
Staple it up.
much.
Well,
But,
was it intended to last forever, or just while we're doing the work? It
I
sounded
think-
like it was supposed to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
don't
you
think
know
so.
those little cellophane
Yeah, it was,
document protectors that you,
right, that's what I'm thinking.
yeah. That and a nail and a hammer.
Yeah. That's the plan.
No, we don't wanna put a nail in the tree. If you watch the foresters, they put tape around the tree and
Do
hold it that
they?
way.
Right, right.
I'll do something cute. So, finally, April 21st, we'll have a kayak and canoe launch. Another old business, the Hickory Hill parking. Bob was out there checking it out. There is a parking lot there. Needs some finishing touches, but it looks like a parking lot. So they had said they would be done, I think, by this weekend. So-
Yeah, I think on the sign, I think it says the 27th or something
Yeah.
like that.
Where's this?
Hickory Hill, entrance to the Musquash.
Yeah, where's the parking lot?
Well,
Well, there's that little one at the bottom.
right, but now you can drive in and park.
Across the
At
power
the top.
line.
Oh, I saw that
Well,
up there.
yeah.
I wasn't sure what it was. I thought they were
Well,
doing,
it's been a logging
yeah. I thought they were doing
landing, and so the fact that it was already half done,
Yeah.
we had planned, it was designed to have a parking area, and when they were doing the logging, we said, well, if you're gonna do a landing, can you do it where we're gonna put our parking?
Okay.
So they accommodated us by doing that.
Okay.
So a lot of the heavy work was already done.
Is there a drain? Is there a culvert or a drain across it? 'Cause they-
Multiple.
There's two on,
They
direct
they
under the
had
power
it
lines.
when they were doing the power line work, and then they took it out when they finished. I
That
don't
was a
know.
long time ago. A
Well,
while
and then
ago.
there's two old plastic ones that just got
Yeah,
smashed.
yeah, I saw
So
that.
now we have real ones,
Okay.
so.
There is still, part of it just may be at spring. There's a lot of water near the
Oh,
kiosk.
there's,
Well,
But that's happened before, so
We're
I don't
gonna
know.
move the kiosk
Okay,
so that, because if you park in that parking lot, you will never see that kiosk.
right.
So we're gonna move it up,
Well, they put in fill to support the edges of the parking, and that,
Mm.
they covered probably half of the old footpath up to the kiosk.
which
So if
I
they
want-
move it, it'll be fine.
ideally, I want that to just go away.
That's fine.
Because it gets treacherous when the water runs through there and gullies it, and it's just
Yep.
treacherous.
Yeah, I think we will need some sort of gatage to keep vehicles off the landing trail. And in fact, at that corner, when they were doing, well, first the loggers put it in, and then Eversource uses it too, I think, sometimes. There's another road that goes down to the power line.
Yeah, so there's either gonna be a gate or rocks there,
Okay, that'll do it.
because that was, Eversource doesn't want anybody in there, and neither do we.
And the road is wide enough that it would be attractive to
Yes.
park beside. But if people parked on both sides, you wouldn't be able to get emergency vehicles through.
Right.
So we'll need to make it clear, don't park on the gravel road.
Yeah.
But the parking area is pretty big. It's probably twice the parking of what is now down on the road.
Which is good,
Yeah.
because
Excellent.
Yeah.
I believe our vision, the plans that Stantec drew up was kind of 2 rows of 2 cars. And that they had a median strip so that, you know, you had 2 areas where people were going in, parking in, not parallel.
Okay.
So, but I don't know.
I think we
mean,
can do
you
that.
can't, we can't stripe with the gravel, so.
Right.
And hopefully we do have a lot of parking, because that means it's being used.
Yeah, it will be mostly blocked from the road when Eversource lets the scrub and the power line
Right.
grow up. It's low enough now that you can see it.
Which segues into my idea that I don't want to make a huge announcement that the parking lot exists. Let it just be naturally discovered, because I don't want it to become an attractive nuisance.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little confusing. There are traffic cones in the road now, but the gate is open.
Yeah,
We have the 2 signs there that says no parking between signs, but you have to go between those signs to get to it. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
it's a
We'll
little
have to
confusing there.
So on
decide
this-
on signage of some sort.
On events, people will still be parking down on the neighborhood road,
Yes.
correct?
They could,
Well, have good turnout.
yeah,
It's gonna be
overflow.
needed.
right?
But you don't want to encourage them to do it on normal, under normal circumstances. maybe.
Yes, yeah, I want it, which
As nice for the neighborhood as possible.
Right, and I think people are gonna pull in and they're used to parking there, and they're not gonna realize that the intention now is to continue up to the parking. So that's why I think we need some kind of directional assistance, you know, some signage that says parking,
Do not park on roadway.
yeah, well, I'm sure, John Trotter can help me.
Yeah,
Come up with
one thought
a
today was something,
traffic plan.
rather than lots of no parking signs, more no parking signs is possibly a couple of signs that say no parking on roadway or something.
Yeah, we'll come up with something. So,
I think that, if it's possible, I mean, looking at Bob's pictures today, it looks like right now, the lot is intervisible with the end of the street. And as you say, if the, shrubs grow up, that might not be the case, but
Right.
I wonder, do we have an interest in keeping that line of sight open?
If you don't, if you,
Because
yes.
that way, when a cruiser pulls in, he just has to go to the end of the lot, he can look up and see, on the end of the street, he can
Yeah.
look up and see, is anything going on up there that shouldn't be?
And I think potentially similar to we do at Kendall Pond, we might
Right.
say no parking after sunset or, we had wording for
Right.
Kendall Pond, it changes with daylight savings, but
mm.
I don't think
Which-
you want kids going up there at 10 o'clock at night.
I know,
No.
but there are people who do night biking.
Well, then they can park down on the street, there aren't gonna
Yeah.
be that many of them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So what were you thinking, to mow?
Well, or, a weed whack or brush hog, or just, just keep it down, no more than, say, 2 feet high, something like that,
Yeah.
that,
Because I'm thinking, there's a combination of grasses/weeds that get only a certain height, and then you've got your
shrubs and saplings.
saplings.
What-
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what's in there,
And you
till
figure,
Eversource took it down the last time,
right,
probably got,
Eversource keeps it from getting too big.
well, but they let it get probably 20 feet high
Yeah, there's
before they
yeah.
knocked it down.
they have a,
And when it was 20 feet high, you couldn't see it from the
Right,
street.
yeah, because they come in with the brontosaurus and just chew it
Yeah,
up.
where, the way it is now, you can see it, but there were
Mm.
probably 2 years there where you couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know what
And I don't know that Eversource is
we
gonna,
have that we can use, say, on an annual basis to just mow it once a year should,
They have some sort of mower that they put on the backhoe,
with the arm.
that they do
yeah.
the sides of the road with.
Right.
I think it's a flail. I think it's got chains in it.
So maybe the town could do it for us, is that what you're hoping?
Yeah.
They could, they're not gonna want to, it's a fairly large area.
Mm.
And I also don't know what our thoughts are during the winter. Is it gonna just get snowy and icy, or are they gonna keep it clear, or what?
Well, I've already had that conversation, and the fact that it's a gravel parking lot is
That'll help.
makes it difficult to plow. And having plowed my own this winter, I'm learning about how difficult plowing is. And yes, it's possible to plow gravel without plowing the gravel, but it
It
becomes
takes
an
practice.
issue.
Yeah.
Right, and, if you mess up and all of a sudden you got a big hump of gravel in the middle of the driveway, you have to come back and fix that in the spring, and then I get it, it's a headache.
And if it's anything like Tundle Pond, that's been open most of the winter, even in our,
Yeah, and
Somebody's
then
plowing it.
you think?
we have a lot of
They didn't
trail
used to.
angels. We may end up with a parking lot angel
Yep.
that just,
Yeah.
Wants to be out there.
couple swipes to clear enough for people to get in there as a favor to us, so.
Not to be confused with the poop ferry that works along the railroad.
Yeah, so, I think we'll have to work out some small kinks, but I think it's progress. We've waited 2 years.
Yeah, it's definitely progress.
2 years we've been working on this, and,
I feel like it's been longer than that.
yeah, and a lot of money to Stantec for
Because we
all
did
plans.
that first count in 20,
Oh,
we were out there and,
yeah,
yeah, so it's been a long time. It's great.
and then, does anybody else have any old business? That's my old,
I sort of have old, new business.
okay.
We've had several conversations about PUDs and how things are not clear and that there are certain rules for PUDs, and I think different rules for different PUDs.
Correct.
And I have suggested that we go to planning board and duke it out in some way. How can we make this work? So that we know what's going on and that the developers get developed. I thought I brought an article, but it doesn't appear to be in this piece of
Whoops.
Londonderry Times, but there was something about developers saying, well, we can't do this, we can't do that, and I understand that the concept behind these big projects, but I think we have to work together. I think that they need to, even though we're an advisory board, they need to take conservation considerations into
Need to take it
conservation
seriously.
issues into consideration. Because now that strange things are happening to our lives, every aspect of our lives is being flipped up, thrown around, and some tossed in the wastebasket. We cannot guarantee that people are not gonna take our conservation regulations away from us. I just feel, I personally, you don't wanna get me started, because I'm very depressed and unhappy. But, that being said, we put these regulations in for a reason. We have done some fabulous things in the last 20, 25 years in Londonderry. And it just kills me to see them thrown away because developers just need that extra 10 pounds of flour in their bag. And I don't know whether it's something you could bring up at the
Master plan.
Master plan, yep.
and, sit down and, have a friendly meeting. It doesn't have to be us and them, it's just like how can we work together on this?
I would start with the planning staff, though, not go directly to the planning board. Plow that ground first, then go to the planning board, have a joint meeting if it comes to that.
Well, I'm more than willing to take my concerns to the planning department. I have not had a chance to go in and introduce myself.
Yeah, I
I'm not
haven't.
even sure if I know the new town manager isn't here yet.
No, but the new planner,
planner,
we still
yes.
haven't, she was at the master plan meeting, but she didn't say anything, and I didn't have an opportunity to talk to her, so eventually I will.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just
Yes, I do
my,
think,
my thing.
yeah. Anybody else have old business?
Where do we stand with the $750,000 from the development on the Gilchrist Orchard?
Supposedly it's in our account.
Can you prove that one way or the other, Deb?
I have a March 12th email, and it was in the town email, so I haven't opened it up. And I seem to have lost my report from,
Oh, no.
so I gave you a report last month, or did I give you?
Yes.
Can
Yep.
you just send it back to me?
Okay.
Something is going on with that weird OneDrive, I don't know.
Oh,
it's
the
my-
way it stacks the
it's-
emails on each other? You can
No.
turn that off.
No, no, it's the saving thing. It saves it, I've got
Oh,
files in two places now. OneDrive.
okay. Oh,
You know
yeah.
anything about OneDrive?
Yep, I use them. Yeah,
But,
you're at the mercy of what did you call it?
Yeah, well, it's probably there, I just didn't have time to really find it today.
All right, I'll see if I can find it in my email.
But I can promise you a report for the next, or if you want me to just send the info out, I'll shoot an email out.
Is,
We're pretty sure we have it.
no, relevant additional question is, who's looking for this equivalent property?
I think that's on us.
Is it us? That wasn't at all clear, but, I mean, if that's the case, then, we ought to probably advertise. I mean, we need to get this done, I think, because,
Well, we do have properties that we're
yeah,
considering,
right.
so we're just hung up on roadblocks.
But, I mean, maybe we did our conversation with, I don't know if it's gonna be the acting town manager, or do we wanna wait until the new town manager arrives and dump that in his lap? He's gonna probably have his hands full for a few
Yeah,
months.
see what,
But, we should probably be actively pursuing that if we have the money in the bank now.
right.
Who's the administrative assistant in town hall now? Or who's the,
Kirsten leave?
Yeah.
He's here.
Oh, okay. I
He's on
just saw that,
vacation. He's on vacation.
Yeah,
Okay.
until the 27th,
Yeah.
because
something like
I
that.
haven't seen
Yeah.
her, and I had seen an ad for an assistant something, and
Yeah.
it's like,
So we're hiring the executive assistant, which used to be
Yeah.
Cameron's position.
okay,
It's been vacant since he left.
okay. It just,
Yeah.
those two
Yeah.
coincidences made me nervous.
No. No,
Okay.
she's on vacation in Europe, I believe.
Oh,
I'm not sure where.
Yeah.
I don't know, she emailed me saying, because I can't get into my email, so she's like, I won't be back till the 27th. I'm like, okay.
okay. All right, yeah. So,
I think the last time I had promised to circulate the list of properties with their conservation values. Shame to say, I couldn't find it, but I know that I have it. I know it's there somewhere.
we know that feeling.
But my proposal would be to just generate a list of every parcel that has conservation value equal to or greater than that parcel. And then we'll have narrowed the field down by quite a bit. And then from there, we can, I wouldn't mind a broad advertisement that says, if you own one of these, we would like to talk to you. And, see what happens. And then, yeah, we have a few others that we can, maybe that would instill greater urgency in them. It'll be on that list anyway.
Yeah,
So I will continue my search and try to come up
okay,
with that.
and I will try and find it in my computer.
It's called The List.
oh, well, I probably have that somewhere too.
all
Um,
caps.
And then,
Mike has it somewhere. You ever
Maybe,
could-
I don't know.
Yeah, you'd have to dig into whatever you inherited.
Yeah.
I thought these computers were supposed to make things easier.
Excel
Right.
file.
It's just
Yeah.
too much information in one place. And then I have new business. Every year, UNH has an event called Saving Special Places. If you've never been, you've never been. It's an awesome opportunity to see different, they have classes, it's like 3 classes in a day, all different things on wildlife, on conservation, on easements, on community relations. It's very interesting. And you can just Google Saving Special Places, and it'll take you to the website to sign up. They have done something different this year, and they're having it on a Friday instead of a Saturday, which in some ways is unfortunate, but one of the things that it accomplished is that it's at the Grapponi Center instead of a high school. And when it was at the high school, these classes were limited, and I never seemed to get into the ones that I really wanted. They filled up so fast. Well, now all these classes are unlimited, but they're on a Friday. So, you can check it out if you want to go. I'm going. I already signed up.
Where's the Grapponi Center?
It's in Concord.
Friday, April 18th.
Yes, yep. But
Didn't we have a policy of providing registration for?
We did that for the
For the
NHACC
We did not
conference.
do
Oh,
it
that's
for
what it
this.
was, yeah.
And that comes up in November, and the advantage to that one is they have a class called New Conservation Commissioners. And they go through the basics of Conservation Commission and give you a copy of that book that I already just gave you.
But we would definitely, I would make a motion to support giving a scholarship, per se, to new members.
For Saving Special Places?
No, for,
Oh, for NHACC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much our annual policy. But we'll cross that bridge in November.
well, October. Would be a good
October,
idea.
yes.
If you want to get the classes you want to get.
True. I think that's all I have. Anybody else have something for new business?
I just have to touch back on the Musquatch parking.
Okay, sure.
I don't know if we need to plow up there in the winter. I don't think there's that many visitors in the winter.
I don't know. I think a lot of people, the mountain bikers go in there. There's people snowshoeing and skiing. So,
But they always park in the bottom and that was adequate, so
yeah, we might be fine, yeah.
I just don't want to destroy that area just to
Well,
accommodate.
yeah,
parking.
I want to be ready if we need it, and if plowing that gets people to come in there, maybe that's worth it.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll have to experiment. Minutes?
I'm listed as absent, but I was present on March 11th.
Okay. Which is why we do the roll call. It's very hard because the camera that's shooting at us chops off the last 2 seats. So she can't see who's here if you're on the ends.
Sorry. Personal space.
I'd move to accept the minutes of March 11th as amended, if nobody has anything.
Second?
Any discussion? We had motion by Bob, second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose, abstain? Motion passes.
I'll move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Jean, second by Deb. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.